There were some coordination issues and a fear of not being able to obligate the funds in time, which is by this September. And so we are looking for a zero-sum game. I'm sorry, the computer's froze. However, the resolution is to basically go to the board for approval of these changes. The city of FAR was going to be here. They understood that the meeting was going to be virtual, and so they're not here yet, but they're on their way. But again, this resolution is to make changes to the city of FAR's partnership with the city of Alamo and the city of San Juan for this phase 2 of the Tri-City.
This is done at their request?
This is
in
their
order
request.
to make sure that they meet the September. Okay.
Exactly, to obligate the funds in time.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Any questions or comments? If not, is there a motion? Motion by the mayor. A second by Commissioner. All in favor? All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Evan.
Thank you.
Item 6, discussion and action on the draft 2023 UTP CAT 2 projects. Ms. Schaus.
It's actually Norma.
No, it's
Oh,
me.
Norma, sorry.
Yeah. No, good afternoon, everybody. We're here again to present this CAT 2 listing. It is the same one that we presented last year. This is an annual approval that has to be done every time we go through the UTP process. So it's the same list. The only thing that you'll notice in red, some of the projects where it had to be moved back a year. So you see one from 22 to 23, 23 to 24. And that is because either fiscal constraints that we had to kind of keep it balanced, or project development issues that were delayed. So those are the only changes that were made. Everything else stayed. The project stayed. Everything that was listed as far as projects all remained. It's just the years were pushed back a little bit. So we're asking for your approval.
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Mayor.
I see Highway 107 on here, and it's going to be 2023. I just want to bring up to everybody that the courthouse under construction should be finished by the summer, commissioners. There's any way to look to expedite that, we would really appreciate that.
Look immediately to your right now.
He's gonna run the meeting, but I appreciate it.
So Mayor, obviously, this project is being headed by Hidalgo County Commissioner.
So look to your left. Just kidding.
Precinct 2, but also Precinct 4. There was some discussion back in the day about this project. I would recommend reaching out to the commissioner and getting an update on that. We at TxDOT are excited for this project. We believe it will be beneficial to the entire area. And so in conjunction with the courthouse being done, I think that this is the right time. We had it scheduled for 2023. We pushed it back to 2024 based on information provided to the district, TxDOT for our district, regarding the status of the project. So we will work with the commissioners and consultants to try and expedite this the sooner the better.
Yeah, and I talked to the commission. I appreciate that, and I just wanted to kind of bring it up just for the record, I guess, because it is of importance not just for our city, just for the whole area, really, coming into our community. So thank you.
Great. All right. Anybody else? Thank you, Mayor. If not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Pete, second by, thank you, Ramon, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 7, discussion on GIS data requests.
Good afternoon, policy board members. Today I'm here to request some data from all the entities, if it's possible. Up on the screen right now, we have our interactive map that we host in-house. All this data was last updated, I believe, in 2020, late 2020, early 2021. And I'm here to request that if any of this information is incorrect, if you could please submit that data to us so we can update our maps. The stuff that we're looking for specifically is mostly city limits, ETJs, sidewalks, anything that you guys would like to see updated up on our webpage. Please submit that information to us so we could do so.
Fernando, do we have a deadline for that?
Right now, deadline, there is no deadline. We take updates yearly around. Whenever you guys do have any new information that you want displayed, we can update it on the moment. So anytime, and submittals can be in any form. It could be paper form, PDF form, GIS form, whatever form, we can take it and we'll update it for you.
It is imperative data. I would just like to say, please visit with your staff, because This is data that we use that also goes into our transportation demand model. And when we know the city limits, if there's been expansion of cities, and especially with any roadway networks and off-roadway networks such as hiking bike trails, that's good information for us to have as we're working on our forecasted model. So it would be appreciated.
All right. Maybe these are one of the things, since there is no deadline, but it's a continual update, you just kind of remind us on a general. Also, let the record reflect that Commissioner Galowski has joined the meeting from Brownsville. All right. Any other further questions with regards to this presentation? Andrew?
I was just going to say, we'll try to remember to come back quarterly, Judge, just for an update to the policy board on this continued action.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
No further questions. All right. Move on to item 8. Discussion on updates for FY 2023 to 2026 TIP tables and 2045 MTP amendment. Number 6, project update workshop.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Policy Board members. So within the Policy Board meeting packet today is some helpful information that should guide you through the project update process. Just a quick reminder, all project updates are due Monday, February the 28th. We were able to schedule a workshop amongst TAC members, and the invite was sent out for March 17th at 2 p.m. This will be a Microsoft Teams meeting. I'd be happy to forward that invite later on this afternoon to all Policy Board members as well. The material included in the packet, like I mentioned, is helpful for the project update form. Also information regarding costs and adjustments to projects as we proceed with the update to the 23 to 26 TIP and amendment to the 2045 MTP. I'd be happy to address any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the material in the packet or any upcoming deadlines regarding these updates.
Did you reach out to all the communities or cities that have projects listed?
Yes, sir, exactly. And it's to TAC members, and then, like I mentioned, for the workshop, I'd be happy to forward that invite to Policy Board members as well.
The workshop is scheduled to be a virtual meeting?
Yes, sir, correct.
Completely, right?
Yes.
Okay. I would just ask that you, as the commissioner mentioned, make sure that you reach out to everybody and let everybody know that it's a virtual. That way, in case there's a conflict in person, they'll be able to have somebody online.
Of course, yes.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Rudy?
If not, that's all I have for you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Item 9, Andrew says we're going to table it, so we'll bring it up for our next meeting next month. Item 10, discussion on a regional complete streets policy.
Good afternoon, Policy Board members. My name is Chris Nelson. I'm a Transportation Planner 1 on MPO staff. Staff is intending to develop per bipartisan infrastructure law, section 11206. We are intending to develop a regional complete streets policy. This policy would help fulfill the requirements set about in section 11206 of the law, dictating that the MPO needs to spend at least 2.5% of planning funds carrying out complete streets planning activities. If you're not familiar with complete streets policies, what this policy is this policy helps ensure that streets are designed taking into account the needs of all users of the transportation network. So not just those that drive cars, but also bicyclists, pedestrians, transit users, and also freight. The difference between this and a local complete streets policy, if you're aware of local complete streets policies, they're tended more to focus on the design of streets and directly influencing the design. Whereas on the regional level, the regional policies are focused more on incorporating complete streets planning language into the planning documents of the MPO, like the TIP and MTP. Whenever we presented this item in front of the TAC, we received a lot of interest and also a lot of good commentary on the subject. The TAC had a lot to say about how we need to make sure that the policy is not a one-size-fits-all type of policy. We need to make sure that we can design the streets differently in different areas because, of course, different areas have different needs. And then also our director remarked about how this regional policy could potentially be used as a sort of template to the municipalities whenever they go to adopt their own local complete streets policy. This is an informational item. I'd be happy to hear any questions or comments you might have about the proposed regional complete streets policy at this time.
Thank you, Chris. Does anybody have any questions or comments? All right, great presentation. Thank you. Item 11, discussion on MPO resources for municipal complete streets policy.
Yes, so in addition to the regional complete streets policy, we are also proposing to provide resources to all the municipalities to also help them go and adopt their own local complete streets policy. Like I mentioned, there's only so much you can do on the regional level, and to really get on the ground level and really directly influence the design of streets, you really need local complete streets policies. We as staff are proposing to provide resources to the municipalities, kind of like how the MARC, which is the Mid-America Regional Council, which is the MPO for the Kansas City region. They actually provided a guidebook to all the municipalities within their region to help show them and guide them how to adopt their local policies to make sure that the streets are equitable and safe for all users. We're proposing to provide similar resources to the municipalities, which I think is very needed in our region, given that our staff analysis shows that very few of the municipalities in our region currently have a local complete streets policy. Whereas if you compare that to the MARC region, 80% of the municipalities in that region have actually adopted a local complete streets policy. So I'm hoping that by providing these resources, we can help facilitate the process of the municipalities adopting their own local complete streets policies. And we can get that number up and hopefully provide infrastructure that's safer and equitable for all users of the transportation network. So I'd be happy to hear any questions or comments you might have about that at this time.
Chris, you just mentioned that most other regions have an 80% local complete streets policy for most municipalities.
That is right, within that one region, within the Kansas City MPO region.
Okay, and in our particular area is how much or how many?
It is very few. We're still going through the process of conducting a literature review to see all of the policies that are within our region. However, so far we've only identified one, being from the city of Brownsville. So shout out to them.
Okay, that's great. But now tell us why it's important that all the municipalities have the complete streets policies. What's the benefit?
Absolutely, sir. So as I touched on earlier, these policies help ensure that streets are designed with all design aspects needed for all users of the transportation network. So they help ensure that the streets are built with sidewalks for pedestrians, bike lanes for cyclists, transit stops for transit users, and really to make sure that the streets are not only designed for automobile users, but all users of the broader transportation network.
Anybody else have any questions?
As far as the design standards, are those AASHTO, are there design standards in there, or are those reference means, or what type of recommendations are there? I guess we'll look at it and come back and completely digest that, but just curious off the top of it, as far as design standards and recommendations, are those AASHTO or those NHI?
Yes, sir. I'm glad that you asked about that. That's actually a question I've been getting from a lot of the municipalities as I've been reaching out to them to conduct this literature review to see what existing local complete streets policies there are. So I do want to clarify, a complete streets policy is not exactly the same as design standards. However, it is a document that's intended to influence design standards. Yes, to recommend that all of these different design features be incorporated into the design standards.
Doesn't make it mandatory. It just says that it ought to be part of the planning or design process.
Yes, sir. That is generally the case.
Okay. Well, shout out to Brownsville for being ahead of the curve.
If I might
Go
add,
ahead.
so I'm a city commissioner for the city of Brownsville. I represent the southwest area, which is one of the lower socioeconomic quadrants of the city. And so representing my people, or my people, one of the comments I've gotten from health professionals is that there's a higher rate of incidence of dementia and Alzheimer's because we lack sidewalks. It's an older part of the city, so we don't have sidewalks. We don't really have bike lanes and stuff. But there are CDBG grants that will help us get sidewalks in certain areas and other amenities, which in the long run one wouldn't associate maybe health complications with sidewalks and bike lanes and all that stuff. But there supposedly is a correlation. So that, to answer your question, Judge, that would be maybe one of the reasons why to consider adopting a policy like this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else have questions, Chris? If not, thank you, Chris. Great presentation. Item 12, discussion on critical urban freight corridor CUFC redesignations.
Yes, sir. Hello again. Currently,
there's amendment process for the critical urban freight corridors. We presented it to the Technical Advisory Committee, and we received one recommendation for changes based on the municipal plans for the city of FAR. The previous map, if we could go back one slide, please. Right there, that's the full region for the critical urban freight corridors, which is Hidalgo County and Brownsville. Now we can go on to the next one. Okay, so that portion that was removed was Jackson Road to Ridge Road, and then from Ridge Road over to Cage. That portion was not on the city's freight corridor plan, so therefore they were reallocated. And the other portion was also from Dicker Road up to the north. There was a leg right there that's also not within the city of FAR's freight plan. So those two portions were reallocated since the region is allocated 39.76 miles. So therefore we had to reallocate those legs. So the changes that were made was up to the north from the FAR city limits north all the way to Edinburgh's, it's Conquest Boulevard. It's not a direct road off of the expressway, but it's the nearest intersection that could be physically located as to the termini of where the freight corridor went up on I-69. And that's where the reallocation took place. So we ended up with the same 39.76 for the region after the reallocation was made of the recommendations by the city of FAR. Yes, sir.
So Dicker Road, with the improvements, to me, it's going to get a lot more truck traffic from Jackson Road all the way over to the trade zone.
Right.
And is that included? I can't.
It was only up to Dicker Road. So it's from the International Bridge up on Cage Boulevard to Dicker Road. And that's what's currently on the city FAR's freight plan, sorry, yes.
Mayor, you had a question, go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick, I guess on Conquest, there's not it's an intersection, but not on.
Right.
Is there a reason why it stopped short?
That was the furthest we can go north with the allocated mileage that we'd have. We just use that as a logical termini, even though it's not a direct off-ramp, correct? Yes, sir.
Let me,
Way to
go ahead.
expand the amount of mileage.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to get over our 39.76 miles?
We just need 150.
To get all in.
Like anything else, we have limitations on how much mileage we can add. If you're gonna add something to the network, you have to remove something else.
Right.
So I think we need to look at priorities, which are more realistic, and so on and so forth, and make a determination that way. This is feds basically control that.
Is this a calculation? Is this a formula that we don't have much we can manipulate it?
Given to TxDOT for the rural areas and the MPO for the urbanized areas.
And is it based on population, or what is the formula for the amount of mileage that's provided to us?
I do not know the answer to that question. At the end of the day, at the federal level, they allocate X amount of mileage to each state, and then it's being distributed.
What I would recommend, Andrew, is that we try to review this so-called calculation policy where we only get so much. And if it is what it is, then obviously continue to reevaluate those areas or those that may not be getting the full use, and there's other areas that can. But I find it hard to believe that for the entire RGVMPO, we're only going to be able to utilize 39.76 miles, considering the distance between the island to Stark County. That's, it sounds to me like we should be able to do better, and maybe we can. But
the other thing also, Judge, is if the formula was done before we merged, at the state level, that I don't know if the state has adjusted the allocation of mileage evenly to now that we are in a regional MPO.
Well, I think there's some important things there, and that's a great point, Mayor, is that the reason on the previous map that Luis showed to us, and it shows Hidalgo County and Brownsville, is because those are the two urbanized areas above 200,000.
Yes.
So there's an allocation of lane miles that go to urbanized areas above 200,000. That's different than those areas below 200,000. It is important to say that Keith Patridge from the MEDC serves on the Texas Freight Committee. I attend representing, sitting in for the MPO. There are 455 miles, and there are portions of the corridors, both on I-69E and I-69C, that are identified right now for potential identification as part of the freight corridor as well, and that would be the area north of Edinburgh up to the county line and continuous to 37, and the portions along 77 are intermittent because of the other portions that are already identified. So there's two different allocation of lane miles, if you will.
Is the population, for example, of Hidalgo County over 200? Does that include all of the separate cities?
Well, yes, sir. When they did the urbanized area for Hidalgo County, it encapsulated all.
So in other words, it's only based on what constitutes the urbanized area?
Yes, sir.
Well, maybe we need to review that definition to see if there's something, because I heard Edinburgh had a pretty good census year.
Sir, we have been doing it at, I will say passionately since before census, but this is one of those things that unless you know somebody at the Census Bureau, is 100% up to them. They can come out once they reveal the urbanized areas that hasn't happened yet and say that we're all one, which would change the whole game.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a feeling that they're going to come out and still say there are three.
Well, then we need to figure out what's in our best advantage, whether it's 3 or 2 or preferably 1, which would make more sense to me, and that would expand the number of mileage and therefore hopefully number of federal funding and resources that we can have access to.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for us to have gone through the growing pains of the merger and then not being able to have full advantage of the resources that other urbanized areas have. That's just not right.
I agree, and it would also increase the Category 7 allocation to the region, which would be very beneficial to our Harlingen-San Benito area. Instead of taking the portions that we get from Brownsville and Hidalgo and following
and reality,
that's into redesignation, then it would just be a higher allocation that would be able to grow.
Be happy, and I'm sure most of the other elected officials here would be happy to sign off on any letter to the census administrator, which, by the way, is from the Valley now, as I understand it. We've on behalf of Cameron County, we've written to him for a review of the latest census, and I would think that the MPO sending a letter asking inquiry about this particular issue would be beneficial. So why don't we work on that too?
Consider it done, sir.
Okay.
Did you do something?
We sent the letter asking them to reevaluate on an administrative level because we know we're severely undercounted. We grew by 15,000 in 10 years, according to, yeah. It's kind of like take what you want, be happy we're giving you this. No, we're not going to be happy with that. So. But Edinburgh can't complain. They did a great job. Anything else for Luis? All right. Thank you, Luis.
Thank you.
Item 5, RGVMPO Executive Director's Report and Updates. Mr. Cannon?
Yes, sir. Since I know that we're pressed for time, I'll go through.
We're doing good.
The financial update is in your packet. We're still under expended for our balance right now, so that's good. Some of that will change. We hope to come to the policy board next month with a congestion study consultant to bring on board to do that. We're looking at several other studies, a corridor study, a public participation plan, and we may have someone help us out with these complete street plans as well. So those expenditures will come back to where we think they should be. I want to say that there's also information in the packet on projects that are missing Category 7 scoring. My staff has reached out to the local governments to ask for the completion of the data so we can complete the scoring. So when we come to the board next month and to the advisory committee, we can provide not only the information about the project, but how the project scored in relation to other projects throughout the region, so the board can make a decision best based upon all the information that was provided. We did attend the Texas Transportation Forum. There was some demographic data information that I thought was pretty, it's back to the slide. There we go. I thought that was pretty incredible myself. I knew that we'd heard the 16% before. I had never heard until the forum that 87% of the population lives along and east of Interstate 35 in the state of Texas. I had never really given that much thought, but I thought that was a pretty incredible fact for us. Of course, 143 counties lost population. They did mention us as one of the most densely populated counties in the state, so that was nice to see. And 78 corporations have moved their headquarters, relocated to Texas as well. So we definitely are seeing the growth, a lot of it migratory. And then the bullets below, just as part of the safety standards that we're trying to work with. And I sit on a safety committee with the Commissioner Ryan, and they're actually meeting right now, so I was unable to attend today. But 1,500 from speeding, and still 1,200 deaths from not wearing seatbelts. I thought that was pretty amazing to me. I thought with all the educational process we'd had on seatbelts, that number really wouldn't have been as high as it is. So I was surprised by that.
And if I may elaborate a little bit on that.
Go right
So
ahead.
we talked about the 3 E's when it comes to safety: engineering, education, and enforcement. Engineering, designing it the right way. Education, teaching, and PSAs and things like that. And enforcement, law, PD, DPS, giving citation. But unless people change their habits, all this goes by the wayside, folks. We got to get the word out there in the name of safety. People need to slow down. People need to wear their seatbelts. People need to obey the law, not run red lights, as an example. All these things are human elements that are beyond our control when it comes to MPO, textile, and what have you. People need to wake up and smell the roses.
Cell phones.
Cell phones, distracted
Cell
driving.
phones are really bad on the expressway. I don't know if you guys noticed, but
You know, Austin, as a side note, Austin had a program they did for a while, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal, where they had Austin PD and a camera in the city buses traveling up and down Interstate 35, and they would capture people on their cell phones and then call ahead, and patrol units would pull them over, and they just had nothing they could do in court because they captured them texting as they were going down the road from the buses. So I just mentioned that as food for thought because I thought it was genius until we try to curtail people's mindset about it. So, there are some upcoming events that I wanted to make the board aware of. In May, TxDOT is having their, I guess it's biannual planning conference in Houston at the Omni Hotel. Registration is open. The costs are there, and a link is provided for you. If you need any assistance with that, my staff would be glad to do that. I think that always turns out to be a very good, fruitful conference to attend, because several different workshops and different planning issues that are taking place, and more insight from TxDOT administration on many things that are happening as well. So I think that's very worthwhile if anybody has the opportunity and the time to be able to attend. And then with that, I need the board, oh yes, and the rail conference. There's a 2022 Southwest Rail Conference taking place in Dallas. I have 2 of my folks that are going up there for some of the things that we're doing, because we have been doing more planning that has overlapped with the railway, especially on our TASA programs. And that's March 31st to April 1st. It's a 1-day workshop up in Dallas that 2 of my staff, I think it's Nick and Javi, right? Right, okay. Nick and Javi will be attending that one and going up and learning more. Now, this is something, I think it's on your iPads that you should be able to touch the link. I do need this interaction or I'm asking for this interaction from each one of the policy board members. If not, do they need the minty.com on your phone?
All that needs to happen is if you have a tablet, you minimize the current packet and it's right behind. And that's where you should be able to take the survey.
Oh, it's on is it on the desktop as a?
Yeah, we should have just done it.
Oh, this is for the,
Minimize and then.
this is for the board?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
Why don't, yeah, send it via email to everybody, and,
It's on Chrome. Check your Chrome. You can do it on the phone.
Okay. Yeah, we could follow the link as well.
You can do minty.com on your phone.
That's right there, and that'll work.
Oh, for the retreat.
The first question is preferred location, or do you want to proceed with?
Yeah, I don't know who it's popping up for, but the first question is a preferred location for the retreat. So I'm asking for board members to pick those so we can start looking at where we want to do that. And then the second question after you're done with that is a range of months, so I can sort of get an idea of what works best for the board as a whole. And then I can begin to narrow that down on time for us to get together on a one-day.
Getting a message that says, please wait for the presenter to show the next slide.
Oh, boy.
After.
So it's back to you, Andrew.
I don't even have it. I was assured this was smooth.
I say Corpus Christi and San Antonio are out. We need to do it in the valley.
Yeah, I think it would.
I just put it out there because wanted to make sure to cover the bases, Frank. I don't disagree with you at all. It's,
Yeah.
But if I could get the feedback on the location, just a time frame on months that work, because I know people plan summer vacations, there's spring break, there's other things that come into play. It'll give me an idea to be able to go back and start working on some information so I can bring it back to the board on 1 day or 2 day, and then we can set down a location and a time to do this.
I'm stuck, just like Mayor Boswell mentioned, so
Next question?
Yeah.
Guys?
it's stuck on the next one.
Got it.
All right, well, while they work on that, let's go ahead and move to the status report, text dot, project status. Thank you, Andrew.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I guess we don't have the slides, but I guess we can.
There's slide.
Wing it.
Yes, yes, sir.
Oh.
Here we go. My name is Ricardo Bravo. I'm with
We'll send this out.
I'm here with my colleague, Carlos Savas from the seminary office. Together, we'll be presenting the construction update for the month of February 2022. As you can see on the next slide, this is the US 83 relief drop phase 2. You can see the project limits. You can see the limits of this project are from FM 2221 to 0.28 miles west of Showers Road. The scope of this project is a new location expressway facility. The contractor, which is Police Construction, is at 80% completion, and the estimated completion is of August 2023. Next slide, please. As you can see on the next slide, the contractor has already built the connector bridges over US 83, and it has the retaining walls already about 90% completion at US 83. And the contractor has also worked on the approaches to both connector bridges. Next slide, please. You can see on this slide, the contractor has already worked on the westbound main lane of US 83 and is currently working on the base of the roadway on the eastbound main lane of US 83. Next slide, please. Between the connector bridges and Liberty Road, you can see that the 4 canal bridges have been built on the US 83 main lanes and also on the US 83 frontage roads. Next slide, please. You can see this for Liberty Road Bridge. The contractor has already built up the retaining walls and is currently working on both bridges for the westbound main lane and the eastbound main lane, and it's also working under the bridge, doing the turnarounds and placing the asphalt. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see that the contractor is working between Liberty and Tom Gill, and they've actually worked on the retaining walls, which is also almost 90% complete. And the next phase for the contractor will be the actual build the roadway section between those 2 bridges. Next slide, please. As you can see on this one, on Tom Gill Road and US 83 intersection, the contractor has already done the eastbound main lane bridge and the westbound main lane bridge, and is working on both approach sides of the eastbound and westbound of the bridges, and is also currently working on the underpass for the bridges. Next slide, please. On this one, it's on the eastbound main lane of US 83, just west of Tom Gill. The contractor is also building a sound wall that was for that particular subdivision, and he has already started construction and is progressing accordingly. The next slide. This is FM 2221 and US 83 looking north, and you can see that the contractor has already established the first layers of asphalt and is currently working on the frontages and is already installing the signal light at that location. More. And on the final layout, you can see an overview of the US 83 bridges over FM 2221, and you can see the contractor has advanced thoroughly, placing riprap and working on the turnarounds and also the frontage roads just east of FM 2221. on the next project, Mr. Suarez.
I got a question. You know when 186 is going to be finished? Raymondville to 281?
Yeah, that project is, it should be completed in a few months. That's the schedule for that project. I believe at July or August is the completion date for that project.
I think you're up next. Anyway.
Yes, I'm next anyways. Yes, got sidetracked there. Yes, good afternoon, Policy Board members. My name is Carlos Ceballos with the San Benito area office, and I'll be giving you a brief update on a couple of projects that we're working on in Cameron County. The first project is the FM 1732 project. This project is in the Olmito, Brownsville area. The limits of the projects are from US 281 Military Highway to I-69. The scope of the project is rehabilitation, reconstruction of a non-freeway facility. The contractor is Foremost Paving. The project is approximately 61% complete. Estimated completion date for this project is October of 2022. On this picture, you'll see contractors paving on the south side of the road. This is between Carmen Avenue and Lago Vista Boulevard. Here on this picture, you'll see the contractor continues paving there on the south side, and we have traffic on the north side. And if you pass by there today, you'll notice that the traffic is already on the other side of the road, and we're working on the north side of the road, and we're working on the subgrade, installation of geogrid, and working at some intersections and getting ready to place a flex-based material. The next project is the FM 802 project in Brownsville. This project, the limits of the project are from FM 1847 to Old Port Isabel Road. This involves the construction of a raised median with the roadway winding and an overlay. Contractors Texas Cordia. The project is approximately 90% complete. Estimated completion date is July of 2022. This project, as you can see, that we're working on this is at the intersection of Village Center and 802. We're working on traffic signal items. We're trying to finish the pedestrian ramp, sidewalks, driveways, sound wall, and the raised median. And most of this work is happening between Village Center and Dana Avenue. This picture you see there, the contractor is working on the raised median. This is by close to the bridge. They're in front of the aquatic center. And we're getting ready to, it's actually, if you pass by through there today, you'll notice that they're actually working on the actual median to be completing that section. So that's all that we have for that project.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? All right. Moving on to the Cameron County RMA. Pete?
Judge,
Keep it short.
members. Southport Connector, this project is complete. The ribbon cutting is scheduled for March the 4th at 10 a.m. I'm sure you all will receive an invitation via your email. Veterans, the expansion of the CBP primary lanes, the letting date is April 27th. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully get a good bid from contractors, and hopefully we attract attention from different contractors. Gap 2, we're about 90% of the PSNE. So we got a couple of months before we can complete the PSNE on this one. We're doing a reevaluation on the environmental document. That shouldn't be too long. Right away, and utilities have been relocated. East Loop, by the end of March, we should have 30% PSNE. Depending on the comments we get from TxDOT, we'll turn it around and complete the 60% and then submit to TxDOT. So that's moving rather quickly. The environmental document, we're doing it in-house at the RMA. We're coordinating with IBWC and U.S. Fish and Wildlife as well. Florida de Mayo Bridge, got a call from the State Department last week. It's going through a legal review. Should be another week or so before we get a list of questions that they have that we'll address and resubmit. Morrison Road, we're waiting on the functional classification process. Old Dallas, the PSNE is 100% complete. We're addressing comments from TxDOT. Right-of-way is in place. Utilities have been relocated. We're pending environmental clearance, so hopefully in the next couple of months we get environmental clearance, and then we'll come back to the MPO in the district and see if we can accelerate the project to construction in 2023. FM 509, we're going to move forward utilizing local money to complete the preliminary engineering, the environmental document, and then perhaps the PSNE as well. We do have construction dollars on this project. SPI Second Access, we're utilizing local money to complete the environmental document as well. South Parallel Corridor Phase 2, this project led in December and will be under construction shortly. Phase 3, the county is using local money to acquire the right-of-way for this phase of the project. 281 connector, we're going through a procurement process for a consultant. West Boulevard, we're going to utilize local money for the PSNE, and we're doing the environmental document in-house at the RMA. Utilities have been relocated and the right-of-way is in place, so we'll coordinate the project with the district. Whipple Road, we've got schematics at 90% that we need to address some comments with TxDOT Federal Highway. We have a meeting with TxDOT tomorrow, the project manager, to go over the status of the project and then determine how to proceed on this project. The US 77 projects, we continue to advocate for this project and work with TxDOT and hopefully get whatever projects are outstanding to get them funded to the next UTP and move to the construction phase. So this concludes my presentation, Judge, unless there's any questions.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Pete. All right, Hidalgo County RMA, come on.
Good afternoon. I'd like to provide you with a brief update on the 365 toll project. We did issue notice to proceed on February 15th with a 30-day delay clause, and construction should start March 16th. We have our pre-construction meeting. We're going to be breaking up the pre-construction meetings in various phases. We'll be issuing a invitation to we're having a safety pre-construction meeting with all the law enforcement officers, and then we'll be having a pre-construction with the contractor, which is Pulici, our police. We met with their Italian foreigners, and they said we were totally chopping their name, and it's actually Pulice, Pulice Construction.
Are you supposed to do this too?
Yeah, that's what they did when they were there. But and then we'll be having on March 9th, we'll be having an environmental pre-construction meeting with all of the different agencies that are involved in that. Due to the fact that we felt there'd be more attention and more detail, we've got a very large group. This is a 12.2 mile section. We have over 5 jurisdictions that we're going over on the city limits. We have 7 school districts that we have to coordinate transportation with on the routings, et cetera. And basically, we've got a lot of coordination to do, and we'll be doing that in the next 3 weeks. With that being said, the pre-construction meeting will be held on March 1st at the McAllen Convention Center at 9 a.m. And the ribbon cutting ceremony is pending the governor's schedule. He will be here to attend that, and we anticipate that to be the 3rd week in March. Moving on to the IBTC project, this is approximately a 13.5 mile section of roadway connecting from the interchange where IB 365 leaves off on the west. It proceeds east up to approximately the Donna Bridge and has a small section of about 5.4 miles that goes up and connects to I-2. We have gotten the blessings from all of our partnering agencies as far as the environmental justices. So we will be conducting a public meeting on this project on Thursday, March 17th at 6 p.m. And the virtual aspect or public hearing will be available online from March 17th through Friday, April 1st. And upon reception of these environmental justices, we will move forth and get acceptance from FHWA, our partners TxDOT, and move forth with advanced engineering and moving on with the project as far as delivering an engineering set of design plans and acquiring right-of-way, adjusting utilities and such. As far as our overweight corridor, as of to date, we have collected approximately $36,887,432, with the lion's share of that going to TxDOT for infrastructure projects along the same overweight corridor. It's remaining in Hidalgo County. To date, on January, we collected from January of 2022 of this year, we collected 2,642 permits. That was a little low in comparison to the last year at this time. Last year, we had 3,292, approximately 20% decline. But that may be because of COVID, or we could test to various issues on that.
Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it's saying for the whole year.
Right, the title
Right.
says for the whole year,
But it's supposed to be month.
It's supposed to be the
Okay.
first month of the year, yes, sir. That's why we have no data points,
All right.
additional data points there. As far as interest, we're all very much aware that interest keeps climbing, and all our materials keep climbing up right along with the interest. Any questions or concerns I may entertain at this time?
All right, thank you, Ramon.
Thank you.
All right, Regional Transit Metro.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Tracy Orcias. I am the transit manager for Brownsville Metro, City of Brownsville. Today I'll be giving you the regional transit report. For Brownsville Metro, we had ridership at almost 83,000 in the month of December. We are seeing a positive trend. We're up about 52%. Island Metro was at 27,000 riders. They are also seeing a positive trend. McAllen Metro was at 45.5 ridership, and they are also seeing a positive trend. Valley Metro is at 26,900, almost 27,000, and they also are going back up in ridership. System-wide, as you can see from this chart, we are on a positive trend, and we expect that positive trend to continue to go upwards in ridership. Are there any questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. All right, item 7, any other business, old or new? All right, our next meeting for the MPO is Wednesday, March the 30th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. I want to thank everybody for being so cooperative and having a quick, efficient meeting. Maybe I need to say that at every meeting going forward. But with that in mind, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all very much.
Good to see you.